If you would like to create a new company in Sage 50, before you start, gather all the information that you will need. Information about the fiscal year, historical data, business number, type and field of the company. Once you are ready, then double-click over here. This window will open, then choose Create a New Company, and then OK. Then the Setup Wizard window will open. It will take you through the 7 steps of creating a new company. Then press Next. In this step, select the Sage 50 product your client will use to open the new company file. It is always a good idea to choose a similar product for your clients if you are willing to share company or work remotely. In this step, you enter the legal name of the company, the address, phone number, email address, website, and then press Next. In this step, you will enter the fiscal year start date of the company. You have to determine if the company is a brand new company or it's an existing company that has historical data. So if, for example, we are in the year 2023, and let us say the fiscal year corresponds with the calendar year, which means that it will start in the January 1st and end December 31st. So if it is a brand new company, then the fiscal year start date will be January 1st, 2023, because we are going to start from this year. But if it is an existing company and has historical data, so we have to start the fiscal year start date will be the 1st of January 2022, which is the previous fiscal year. That will give us the chance to enter the historical data of the company and then proceed to the new fiscal year, which starts in the year 2023. So here it is different. And once you choose the fiscal year start date of the company, the software will automatically calculate the earliest transaction date, which is similar to the fiscal year start date, and the fiscal year end date. And then you press Next. In this step, you will have Sage 50 create a list of accounts based on your business type, which is recommended, and then press Next. In this step, you will select the ownership structure of the company, either a sole proprietorship, one owner, or a partnership, 2 or more owners, or incorporated company owned by shareholders. After choosing the ownership structure of the company, you have to select the industry type and the company type. You scroll down from the list, and there is a long list that you probably will find the industry or the company type that you are looking for. But just in case, if you don't find the exact field, you can choose the closest one. The software will use it to tailor the list of accounts for your company. Then press Next. Now you will enter the name of your company over here, and by default the location where the file will be stored will be entered here. I usually keep it as it is, and then press Next. And now you have reached the end of the setup wizard, and you can always make changes through the setting later. So now you can press on Finish. Now you have created your company, and there are very helpful next steps that you can do. For example, you can enter the historical data and balances of accounts records, information for customers, vendors, and employees, and if there are any balances. Of course, the currencies and sales taxes, you can set them up, and very other helpful information. Then press close. Once you close the Setup Wizard window, the New Companies window will open, and you will recognize these marks beside the customers, vendors, inventory, employees, and the chart of accounts. These marks indicates that you started a new company and you can enter any balances through the icon beside these marks. You will also recognize the history over here, which indicates that you have the chance to enter all historical data and you didn't complete finishing the new company yet. The session date will start with the transaction start date, which is equal to the fiscal year start date. I always prefer to update the chart of accounts first. So I would go to company, and as you can see the mark over here that indicates where we can enter the balances, chart of accounts, and then choose view accounts. So on the chart of accounts, I always start by entering the historical data of the income statement first. So I will enter all the revenue and expenses, and then check the retained earning previous year balance that should be equal to either the profit or loss of the company of last year. Double-click on the account to open the General Ledger window, and then enter the opening balance over here. Once you finish, if you want to scroll down the list from here to enter another either revenue or expense account, you can choose from this list, or you can advance account by account from here. Every time you are going to advance from one account to the other, you will receive this question: do you wish to save your changes? Always ask to save changes to records, then you press yes. The balances for the accounts, you can always change or edit the name of the accounts to be more descriptive of the service that the company is providing. For example, if there is sales inventory A by default in the system, you can always edit the name of the account to sales marketing services. The same thing, the cost of goods sold. If you find cost of inventory A, edit it to cost of marketing services. If you cannot find the account, you can always create it from scratch. For example, if I didn't find meals and entertainment, I can always create it from scratch and always check that it is a G account, for example, and it's a general and administrative account. And I always add the Giphy codes for the accounts that I create from scratch by myself. It is always helpful to check the Schedule 100 for the balance sheet and Schedule 125 for the income statement. Online, they will have the list of the commonly used Giphy codes. It's very helpful. After you complete the income statement accounts for all the revenue and expenses, you will always get this remark that says, in order to balance your account, this amount has been added to retained earnings previous year. As I said, I always, at this point, check the balance of the retained earning of previous year to be equal to the profit or loss on the income statement. After entering all of the balances on the asset and liability accounts, you can always go to Reports and Trial Balance to double check the amount of the retained earnings that was automatically calculated by the system and make sure that it is equal to the records that you have on your balance sheet. After updating the chart of accounts, we can now update the customer records. So let us say, for example, if we invoiced a client by the end of December of last year, and the client did not pay the invoice yet. So we still have one outstanding invoice. Remember that we cannot duplicate the invoice in this system if we are starting a new company in this system. If we create the invoice again, it will duplicate the invoice. But in this case, we can enter the records through the customer icon. If you double click over here, it will open the receivable ledger. You can enter the customer name over here and the information of the customer. Then you can scroll to the end of this page using this arrow till you reach the historical transaction. Now we want to enter the information of the outstanding invoice. We can always go over here. If you double click here, we will open the historical invoices window. You can enter the invoice number, date, terms, amount, and press record. After updating the balances of receivables, payables, inventory, employees, and chart of accounts, I always go to maintenance over here and choose the check data integrity to make sure that everything is balanced and the data is okay. In the integrity summary window, make sure that the total debits are equal to the total credits. The historical information are all balanced and the data is okay, and then we press OK. After updating all the information and making sure that everything is balanced, we can now proceed to history, finish entering history. The system will always give you a warning that you are about to finish entering history. This action cannot be reversed. Make a backup of your company files before proceeding. It is always recommended to back up your system first and then proceed. So the session date is set to the 1st of January 2022. And we cannot enter any transaction that occurred in 2023 before advancing to a new fiscal year. So in this case, we go to maintenance over here and start a new year. The system will always give you this warning that says your data is about to be updated for a new fiscal and calendar year. Print all employee reports and backup data before proceeding. The program is about to move all current year's data to the last year, close all revenue and expenses account balances into the retained earnings linked account, and set the new fiscal year's dates. If you have chosen to keep financial history for a certain number of years, you can still see financial reports for those years. Do you want the program to back up your data before beginning the new fiscal and calendar year? You press yes and OK. You have successfully started a new fiscal and calendar year, and then press OK. Since you started a new fiscal year, you can always change the session date and advance it so you can enter new transactions for this year. Your income statement will always start at zeros, and it's always a good idea to back up the system each and every time you close it. Next time, if you want to access the company that you have just created, you can always go to open a recently used company and then press OK.